Welcome to Business Innovators Radio, featuring industry influencers and trendsetters sharing proven strategies to help you build a better life right now.
Hello and welcome to this episode of our show. This is your host, Keith Doherty. Today our special guest is top real estate broker associate Steve Ryder of the elite team at Keller Williams Arizona Realty based out of Scottsdale, Arizona. Steve started selling homes in the late 1970s, and he is licensed in the states of Arizona and California. In 2012, he launched his highly successful builder trade-in program nationally with over 50 awarded territories. He has been working closely with the local builders in Arizona for over 40 years, and he heads up the Ryder Elite team based in Scottsdale, Arizona, with sales over $212 million last year, most of which came from new home sales. Both the Builder Trade-In Program and the New Home Ambassador Program are endeavors which have received high endorsements by Keller Williams CEO Gary Keller, calling the program part of my original dream. It represents a whole new generation of thinking. Steve is certified as a John Maxwell motivational speaker. His main passion is education and has enjoyed great success as an educator and team leader with extensive experience teaching at the Arizona School of Real Estate and Keller Williams. All right, with all that said, Steve, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks, Keith. I appreciate being on it.
And Steve, if we could start for our listeners, what led you into real estate? Was it something that you always knew you wanted to do, or did you maybe stumble into it?
You know, quite candidly, Keith, I am a second-generation agent. My father was in the business, and I graduated from high school, got a wrestling scholarship for college, and in between the summer waiting between high school and college, I went ahead and gave it a shot and worked with him. And in the 3 months that I sold real estate, I put about 30 transactions in escrow and decided real estate was the thing for me.
Excellent. And can you talk a little bit about what personal attributes, traits, or qualities you think have most contributed to the success that you've had in real estate?
The number one thing, Keith, is persistence. And when I say persistence, that's just the ability to learn from your mistakes and move forward. Mistakes happen, and after every failure, I've always said to myself, what did I learn and what would I do differently? But persistence is getting up, shaking off the dust, doing it again, learning from your mistakes, and just never giving up. Success is boring. One thing that a lot of people don't realize out there is once you find a niche or something that works for you, you need to stick with it and make sure that you always measure all your results. And again, when I say success is boring, I've been doing this for 40 years. So in that 40-year period, you could say we're an overnight success, or you could say that we've continued to grow our business every single year that we've been in business.
Excellent. And do you think, give our listeners an example of when these traits have played a role in your path towards success?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that we do is we build all of our business on relationships. And a lot of people say that they have different niches that they work, like a for sale by owner campaign or an expired campaign, or some Tom Ferry and Mike Ferry advocate that you work your sphere of influence and try and squeeze your friends for as many referrals as you possibly could get out of them. And what we do is 100% relational based, but we actually work with new home builders. And our relationship with those new home builders allow us to work with them, have them believe in us that we can remove the contingency that they may have when someone comes in to potentially buy their new home. So about 85% of our business is relationship-based with new home builders.
And Steve, I think whenever somebody builds a successful business or a career, that sometimes the road to get there is filled with bumps along the way. Can you talk a little bit about some of the adversities or trials you've had to overcome in order to achieve your goals?
Oh, absolutely. I remember December 1989, like it was yesterday. We were the top team in the market. It was the Ryder Realty Group, and in the Phoenix Metroplex, we were number one. And unfortunately, there was a hiccup in the market, and things changed dramatically. And within 30 days, we were out of business. And to have a thriving business of 10 years and then to go out of business within 60 days really puts a lot of perspective in your life. At that time, I lost my family. They decided to go to another real estate company. Lost my car, lost my house, had absolutely no money in savings, and probably the thing that hurt the worst is I lost my reputation amongst the professionals in the industry, and that was the day that I decided it wasn't Steve Ryder at Ryder Realty, it was Steve Ryder of the Elite team, and my goal was to build the absolute best team that could be amassed in not only the Scottsdale, Phoenix Metroplex, but across the United States. And here we are 20 years later, and we're in the top 10 in the world with Keller Williams. We sold over 600 homes last year and due to sell over 700 this year. And all that is from learning from your mistakes. And you say two focusing questions: what did I learn and what would I do differently? So we've come a long way, and definitely it's those failures and learning from those failures that absolutely make you a success in the long run.
And Steve, what kept you going despite these obstacles? Why didn't you give up? What was your driving force?
It all kind of came in stages. Once I rebuilt the company on my own from 1989 to 1998, I was in a 100% environment where you're pretty much just out there on your own doing your own thing, and I was exposed to Keller Williams. And coming to Keller Williams, first thing that I learned that I'd been stuck in a ceiling of achievement for 8 years at an income cap, and so basically came to Keller Williams, recognized that I was at an income cap due to that I had just run out of all I could do from my entrepreneurial self and needed to start putting business systems and switching to Keller Williams that virtually had us, my wife and I, go from probably 150 to 200 transactions to well over 400 or 500. So it's thinking of real estate like a business, running it like a business, knowing what your profit margins need to be, and ultimately that's why we've achieved the results that we have.
And Steve, looking forward, what's your vision for your business and your career over the next 5 years?
Back in 2007, which was the last recession that we had in the industry, I was at the bottom again. That was the second time that I virtually almost lost it all. And at that time, I visualized that I would have 500 agents across the United States and be worldwide with our builder trade-in program. And today we do have 32 licensees across the U.S. I've expanded into Portugal, South Africa, Cancun, and Panama. And so I've just started doing some inspirational speaking as well, and in the process of publishing a book that should be out within the next 2 weeks called Change. So honestly, Keith, for me, it's all about growth, not only spiritually, but the growth of the team, the growth of my wife, who's running the team, and just really looking to see if we could take the industry that I'm in and continue to coach and consult with the agents of today. We have a whole different group of people. They're now a little bit more younger. They're a little more business-minded. They definitely look at real estate as a career as opposed to just something to do as a hobby. So I want to be part of that change, and I want to be a significant leader and create a legacy within the industry. So for me, I want to continue to do what I'm doing, hopefully teach and inspire agents throughout the world.
And I guess kind of on top of that, what do you feel is the best way that you market yourself as a real estate professional so that you can have continual growth?
That's always through the relationships that we build. Again, when I say our business is a relationship business, it's very, very, when I say it's boring from the standpoint that as the market changes daily, the relationship and the way you build and foster those relationships doesn't change. And so it's all about getting to know your customer and being in front of your customer on a regular basis and providing the solutions for whatever problem or issue they're going to come up against. And so we actually just renamed our company Builder Solutions Worldwide. So as we work with builders not only locally but nationally and also worldwide, we provide whatever solutions they may need. Today, in today's world, we have a tremendous labor shortage. So we're looking into that issue with some capital labor over in South Africa that desperately needs the jobs, and they have a heck of a workforce over there. So for us, we're looking at today's problems and today's issues, which is lack of labor, and seeing how we could help the builders across the U.S.
And Steve, I think sometimes when the general public looks at real estate agents, they don't fully understand the value that they provide from both a buyer and a seller standpoint. What do you think the biggest myth or misconception is people have about working with a real estate agent?
You know, probably the biggest myth with the consumer is that they can do it themselves and that they would be better off or would maybe save money if they do it themselves. And if you look at it, it's the largest purchase you're going to make. It's one of the most emotional purchases you're going to make. And the only thing that I could equate that to would be a divorce or being sued for maybe murder or a capital offense, where truly your life or your emotions are involved and you could lose it all. And people think that just because it's just a house and they want to sell it and they can maybe save 2 or 3%, the negotiation that goes on behind the scene, the true professionalism that should be going on behind the scene saves the consumer money, never costs the consumer money, and provides that buffer of professionalism that you really can't get yourself because you're emotionally attached to the situation. So whether you're buying a house or whether you're selling a house or whether you're investing in a house, always go through a professional. You're going to save money in the long run, and you're going to be able to have an objective overview throughout the process, because it doesn't matter if you get emotionally involved. You have a third neutral party that's always going to guide you through those highs and lows. So that's why I'd always recommend a professional. Not every single agent is the same. There is a big difference in the industry. It's all about education. So if you're going to interview an agent, I would find out, number one, if they're full-time, number two, what type of education do they continually get into, and number three, are they in a coaching relationship? In today's professional environment, most top real estate agents have a coach, and I would certainly look at that as one of my prerequisites.
And Steve, let's say you get a call from a family member or a friend, and they're in another state and they want to sell their home. Obviously, being part of Keller Williams and all your experience and having all those connections and available agents that you could refer, but from a general advice standpoint, what advice would you give someone about selecting an agent that could best serve their needs?
I would do an in-house person-to-person interview, in-house if it's a listing, person-to-person, could be at the office if you're looking at buying something. But you're going to do really a 2 or 3 prong approach. Number one, with the internet these days, you can easily go on and see if there's any Yelp or Google reviews that have anything to say about the agent. Number two, you can Google their name and look at their website. Get some, if you've talked to anybody in the neighborhood, if they've been soliciting pamphlets or flyers or postcards in your neighborhood, it's easy to find some of the neighbors that may have utilized the agent services. But once you have the one-on-one interview, you're going to get that feeling of either uneasiness or trust. And at the end of the day, a relationship should be based on trust. But remember, it is always a two-way street, and with today's multiple forms of communication, probably one of the biggest issues I see out there between client and realtor would be they may not be on the same page as how they communicate, whether it be via text or an email or a phone call. Today's world is changing, and so communication is going to be the key, and setting up proper communication is always done up front with how are we going to communicate. And those would be some of the things I'd look at.
And Steve, obviously based out of the Scottsdale, Arizona area, and somebody looking for real estate services or an agent in that general area, what's the best way they can find out more information about you and how you can help them?
You could contact my wife. That would be Beth Ryder at 602-315-8749, or Beth Ryder, R-I-D-E-R, at kw.com. And those are the quickest, most simplest ways to get hold of Beth. We do have a full staff that supports her. So whether you're thinking of listing your home or possibly purchasing a home, we're definitely the team for you, and we'd love to have an opportunity to interview for that position.
Excellent. Well, Steve, obviously we want to thank you for taking time out of your schedule to come here today and share all your professional real estate experience with our listeners. And if you're listening and you want to learn more about Steve and how his team can help you, obviously you can contact his wife, like he said. Also below this interview, we'll have a link to their site and any other contact information we have so you can see how they can help you with your real estate needs. So with that said, everybody, until our next show, have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for listening to Business Innovators Radio. To hear all episodes featuring leading industry influencers and trendsetters, visit us online at businessinnovatorsradio.com today.